I was 24 years old when I found out my entire family had been lying to me since before I was born. My parents, my aunts, my grandparents, even my older brother. Every single person at every family dinner, every birthday, every Christmas, they all knew something that completely rewrote who I thought I was. It started with a DNA test. One of those ancestry kits. I got it as a birthday gift. Thought it would be fun to learn about heritage, maybe find some distant cousins. I spit in a tube and forgot about it for 6 weeks. Then the results came back, and there was a match I didn't recognize. Not a distant cousin, not a second-removed relative. A half-sibling, a half-brother named Marcus who was 27 years old and had no idea who I was either. I messaged Marcus through the platform. He responded within an hour, equally confused. We compared notes. Same paternal DNA, different mothers, different last names, different cities. He was born 3 years before me. And when I gave him my father's name, there was a long pause. Then he said, "That's the name my mother told me never to look for." I went home that weekend. I didn't tell my parents why I was coming. I sat at the dinner table and waited for the right moment. And then I put my phone on the table with the DNA results visible. My mother went white. My father didn't look at the phone at all. He looked at my mother. And that was the tell. The story came out in pieces over 2 hours. My father had been in a relationship before my mother, a serious one, almost a marriage. The woman got pregnant. He panicked, ended the relationship, and left the state. He met my mother 8 months later. When Marcus was born, my father already had a new life and no intention of being part of that one. He never told my mother until after they were engaged. She chose to stay, and then they chose, together, to never tell me or my brother. That's when I asked the question that broke the room open. Who else knows? The silence lasted too long. Then my mother said, "Your aunt knew from the beginning. She was there when we decided." So I called my aunt. From a table. Right there. She picked up, and before I could say anything, she said, "Your mother already texted me. I'm so sorry." My aunt had known for over 20 years. She'd watched me grow up knowing I had a brother out there who had no idea I existed. She came to my birthdays. She gave me advice about family. She sat across from me at holidays, knowing. And then my brother walked in. He'd been at work. He came home to find me at the kitchen table with my parents and the atmosphere of a funeral. He looked at my face and said, "What happened?" I looked at my parents. My mother shook her head slightly, and I realized my brother didn't know either. I was the only one being told the truth tonight, which meant my parents were still deciding how much truth the rest of the family deserved. I told my brother myself. Right there. My parents tried to slow it down, give context, manage the narrative. I just said it plainly. We have a half-brother. Dad has a son we never knew about. He's 27. His name is Marcus. My brother sat down on the kitchen floor. Not a chair. The floor. And my father, who had been composed the entire night, put his face in his hands and started crying. First time I'd ever seen my father cry. I felt nothing watching it. I've met Marcus 4 times now. He's a decent person who spent his whole life wondering why his father never looked for him. He didn't come with anger, which honestly made it worse, because it showed just how long he'd processed the rejection. My relationship with my father has never recovered. We speak, but it's different. My mother and I are closer now. Weirdly, I understand the impossible position she was in, even if I'll never fully forgive the choice. My brother went to therapy almost immediately. Smart man. The hardest part isn't knowing the secret. The hardest part is looking at every memory from childhood and wondering which moments had the lie inside them. Every family dinner, every conversation about integrity and honesty my father ever had with me. The truth doesn't rewrite the past. It just makes you read it differently. And once you start reading it that way, you can't stop. Would you have kept talking to your family after this? Tell me what you would have done.